We've spent 2 videos eating and drinking like Romans, garum on everything, honey wine before dinner, and a man chosen by dice deciding how drunk everyone had to get. But eventually, all that food and wine had to go somewhere. And that's where Roman life became truly strange. There was no toilet paper. There was a sponge on a stick. The sponge was shared by everyone. And somehow, an emperor managed to turn the contents of Roman toilets into a taxable industry. This is the side of Roman civilization they rarely show you. Before we talk about Roman toilets, there's something important to understand. The Romans genuinely believed they had solved urban sanitation. They built enormous sewers. They brought fresh water into cities through aqueducts. They constructed public toilets across the empire. For the ancient world, it was an extraordinary achievement. The problem was that impressive engineering and pleasant experience were not the same thing. Let's spend a few minutes in a Roman public toilet and see what daily life actually looked like. Let's start with the detail everyone remembers. Romans did not use toilet paper. Instead, many public toilets provided a xylospongium, a sea sponge attached to a wooden stick. After using it, you rinsed it in running water, placed it back in a bucket containing water mixed with vinegar or salt, and left it for the next person. Then the next person used it, and the person after that. By Roman standards, this was perfectly normal. By modern standards, it's difficult not to feel uncomfortable just thinking about it. To be fair, Romans understood that vinegar and salt helped keep things cleaner, even if they didn't understand bacteria. But modern researchers have found evidence of intestinal parasites in Roman latrine sites, suggesting that disease transmission was common. There's also an interesting debate among historians. Some now argue that the xylospongium may have functioned more like a toilet brush, used to clean the seat, rather than the user. The surviving sources aren't completely clear. Either way, it's not a detail most people would want to experience firsthand. And not every corner of the empire had access to imported sea sponges. In many regions, people made do with stones, shells, or broken pottery fragments. Ancient solutions were often practical. They weren't always comfortable. Now, imagine entering a Roman public toilet. These facilities, known as foracae, could be found throughout major cities. From the outside, some were surprisingly elegant. Marble walls, decorative mosaics, running water, sophisticated drainage systems. Then, you stepped inside. Rows of stone seats lined the walls. There were no partitions, no doors, no stalls. You sat shoulder to shoulder with complete strangers. Everything happened in full view of everyone else. Romans had a very different understanding of privacy than we do. What feels awkward to us would have seemed ordinary to many of them. Wealthier Romans often avoided public toilets altogether. Many had private facilities inside their homes. Some even sent slaves ahead to warm, cold marble seats before use. Public toilets were primarily used by ordinary city residents who didn't have better options. Beneath the seats, waste flowed into the sewer system and eventually toward Rome's famous Cloaca Maxima. The engineering was genuinely impressive. The atmosphere was probably less impressive. Here's what surprises many people most. Romans talked in public toilets. A lot. They discussed business, exchanged gossip, caught up with neighbors. Sometimes they simply sat and socialized. The public toilet wasn't treated as a private retreat. It was another public space. One more place where daily Roman life happened. At the same time, many Romans found these places unsettling. They were dark, they smelled,
They attracted rats and insects. Methane gas produced by decomposing waste could occasionally ignite. Some archaeologists have found protective inscriptions and charms associated with Roman latrines. Apparently, a surprising number of people felt they needed supernatural help before sitting down. Roman writers also joked about people who spent far too much time there. The toilet became a place where social class, daily routine, and public life all collided. Now we get to the strangest part of all. Roman urine was valuable, not as a joke, as a raw material. Laundries collected it because the ammonia helped clean wool. Leather workers used it in processing hides. Large cities produced enormous quantities of it every day. And where there is money, governments eventually notice. During the 1st century AD, Emperor Vespasian imposed a tax on the collection and sale of urine. His son Titus reportedly thought the tax was embarrassing. According to the historian Suetonius, Vespasian responded by holding up a coin and asking whether it smelled. When Titus said no, Vespasian replied, "Yet it comes from urine." From that story comes the famous phrase, "Money does not stink." 2,000 years later, people still repeat it. Ironically, some of the tax revenue collected under Vespasian helped support major construction projects, including the Flavian Amphitheater. Today, we know it as the Colosseum.
One of history's most famous landmarks may have been funded, in part, by taxing what Romans left behind in public toilets. Roman public toilets reveal something fascinating about Roman civilization. They were technologically advanced, they were practical, and they were often deeply unpleasant. The Romans built sewers, running water systems, and public sanitation on a scale few ancient societies could match. They also sat beside strangers, shared cleaning tools, worried about rats, and paid taxes connected to urine collection. Roman life was constantly balancing sophistication and discomfort, which is probably why it still feels strangely familiar. So, tell me, would you have used a Roman public toilet? Or would you have paid extra for the privacy of a chamber pot at home? Let me know in the comments. Next time, we're staying in Rome, but moving into the job market. Because some Romans made a living doing work so strange, unpleasant, and socially embarrassing that many citizens refused to do it themselves. And one of those jobs began right here.